Duet by the Biz just came out. This Warframe-inspired game was a gacha just a few months back, but now they've completely ditched the gacha model. So, how's the gameplay, and how have the progression systems shaped out after all these changes? Let's take a look at what we're dealing with and my thoughts on it. First off, let's start out with the combat. You play as a single character, having a unique skill, ultimate/buff, and a passive. In solo content, you can set 2 characters as supports, and they will fight and use skills automatically. Some characters' buffs change their base kit, and can replace your weapon with a special weapon, or even change your movement and attacks entirely. Each character also gets both a melee and a ranged weapon, with any character being able to equip any weapon. However, they each have a preferred weapon set that grants a small attack boost. Melee weapons have a basic attack screen with a combo counter, and a heavy attack that uses up the combo counter to power itself up. While melee attacks can be animation cancelled into ranged attack hits, this completely resets the combo counter. What this leads to in practice is little reason to ever use multiple avenues of attacking, and instead only focusing exclusively on one, making the combat a bit two-dimensional. At least out of the characters I've played so far, there is no synergy between skill usage and basic attacks. Some characters don't even care about their weapon stats at all, as they conjure their own weapon that they can use all the time. However, weapon passive effects still work, but I just found it unintuitive how leveling up the weapon itself means nothing for certain characters. Let's talk about movement. Movement in DNA is very flexible. You can jump large distances horizontally and vertically, as well as maintain horizontal speed gliding in the air by shooting or reloading your gun. Since there's no way to scope in without shooting, you'll always be awkwardly shooting and reloading if you want to glide, even if you have nothing you actually want to shoot. There's also a basic dodge function that avoids attacks if you dodge at the right time. For dodging, there's no proper feedback for when you avoid an attack. Additionally, dodging will always cause you to start sprinting in that direction, making post-dodge movement very hard to control. This leads to poor handling when you dodge in situations with multiple AoEs to avoid, as the movement momentum makes it tricky to determine where you'll end up after dodging. This can be largely mitigated by rolling after a dodge, though this is very unintuitive. A common point made about the movement is that it's very floaty. That is, movement and actions lack weight. While it does make the overall gameplay feel a bit less satisfying, the biggest problem is that this floatiness also applies to mobs. Hitting mobs feels like you're hitting balloons. They go flying, and when they get stuck on elevated terrain, attacking them starts to become a pain. This is less of an issue in the earlier parts of the game where everything dies in a single hit. Overall, the fast movement and simple combat feels best when mowing through packs of mobs, which is what most content is. However, it works extremely badly with bosses, especially for characters with alternate weapons or forms, because you cannot cancel any animations. Fighting tougher bosses feels extremely jank. When a boss's basic attacks are very threatening, I feel like I'm fighting a Crucible Knight in Elden Ring, where I can only attack once or twice before having to back up or else I'll risk getting hit. Except I have the Genshin dodge, minimal hit feedback, and the floor is made out of ice. Next, let's talk about the game's progression systems. Generic leveling materials can be farmed at will, though there are items that can increase your drop quantity by up to 20 times, obtainable from the cash shop and other sources. Weapon and character levels are limited by your trial level, which can be increased through dailies or several one-time methods, such as unlocking and leveling up new characters and weapons or exploration. Leveling character skills may also require a special material, obtained from a boss with a weekly reward limit. Geniemons are little companions found around the world, with random rarity. These have skills and passives that can offer small boosts to utility or combat. Catching them is RNG, but higher tier foods have a higher chance of success. With gacha removed, the primary method of obtaining characters and weapons is by completing covert commissions, which require secret letters to play purchased with notes. These notes are given by many forms of content around the game as one-time rewards, and 15 are given from dailies, though they can also be farmed as monster drops. These commissions each have a chance to drop components for the characters or weapons. The covert commission system is also used to farm specific high-rarity demon wedges, which are items that can be equipped to characters and weapons to provide stats and bonus effects. These commission quests themselves are of trivial difficulty and quick to farm, making the real grind obtaining the notes. The system is nice in that you can target farm any specific character, weapon, or demon wedge. However, the weapon and character grind can be bypassed by purchasing them directly from the store. Characters and weapons also have an ascension system, where obtaining duplicate copies of them increases their power significantly. This is all sounding a little familiar, right? Yeah. There are a lot of remnants of gacha design in this game. With level gating by account rank, skill level up materials from weekly limited boss battles, and having weapon and character dupes granting significant power, DNA still has the backbone of a gacha. It even has a seasonal endgame content that requires you to have multiple teams and weapons built. Because you can reasonably grind for character and weapon dupes, it leaves a question whether the hardest parts of the endgame will be balanced around that, or if it'll be balanced around the baseline, and you'll become way too powerful when you get them. Let's now talk about some general thoughts on the game and its quality. The quests range from very high production design with beautiful landscapes and music to straight up scuff, with stiff NPCs that have two blend shapes for their mouth in the same cutscene as properly animated mouths. The dramatic difference in quality can be quite sudden and jarring at times. Some characters' in-game models don't match up with their splash art, and can give a completely different vibe. The seasonal endgame, Immersive Theater, feels very lazy, using the same generic layouts as the commissions, offering similar gameplay to the material farming stages you've already gotten used to. Also, with mostly the same generic mobs, with the only novel thing about it being a timer and forcing you to use two teams. The cash shop offers mainly cosmetics, and has a cosmetic gacha as well, with extremely low rates, but at least there's a pity. An important thing to note is that premium currency is not available through gameplay. Characters have a lot of customization options, which is nice for a game like this. Weapons, gacha outfits, and even some special effects can be dyed, although dyes are one-time use and also primarily obtained through the cash shop. I think a lot of the cosmetics look pretty nice, but for the shiniest themes, it may cost you a good amount, as gacha has never been cheap. Overall, I think there's a lot of potential with this game. However, it's also very undercooked. DNA is like if you take a cookie, bake it in the oven, take it out halfway through, replace half of the cookie dough with muffin batter, and then finish it in the microwave. It's freaking raw, and half of it is still a cookie. And while I don't mind having a half a cookie where half a muffin should be, it's still weird how the cookie is there in the first place. It could taste pretty good if it's cooked all the way through though. My biggest concern right now is just with the shallowness of the combat combined with some clunky movement. While on my first day of playing, I was really looking forward to a hard boss battle. Actually fighting said hard boss battle made me realize that several fundamentals of this game's combat just do not work well with the boss fights at all. It will take many layers of changes and polish to get the overall feel for combat here as strong as other games out there. But anything's possible. Anyways, that's it for my early thoughts on DNA so far. I hope this was a helpful review for those interested in trying out the game. And for those who have been playing, I want to know your thoughts. Do you think the game has potential, or is it cooked? Or rather, undercooked? Until next time, bye bye! I can almost guarantee you they'll add a limited edition bed. This is what the town gameplay is going to be. Welcome to Limsa, guys!